All right, so today we're diving deep into a real head-scratcher in tech history.
Oh, yeah.
The Amazon Fire Phone.
Yep.
You remember that thing?
I
What
do.
happened there? It seemed like a pretty big deal at the time,
It really
but
did.
it just kind of fizzled out.
Totally. And we've got this really interesting article here from Cognitive Market Research.
Oh, yeah.
Fresh off the press, March 19th, 2025.
Okay.
That breaks down like all the reasons why this phone just couldn't get any
I
traction.
mean, it had some pretty cool features, right? It had that dynamic perspective thing.
Oh, yeah, that was wild.
With the 4 cameras on the front for the 3D interface.
It was supposed to track your eyes and your head movements.
Right, exactly. And it had Firefly.
Firefly, oh man.
That was supposed to be like instant product recognition.
Point your camera at anything and bam, buy it on Amazon.
Yeah. And super tight integration with Amazon Prime.
Of course, all your ebooks and your movies and all that.
Right there at your fingertips.
So on paper, it seemed like they were really pushing the envelope.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, it just kind of disappeared.
Totally.
So that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah.
Why didn't this phone become the next big thing?
All right, so let's just jump right into it.
Okay.
The article points out that one of the big issues was that it didn't really appeal to a wide enough audience.
That's a good point.
Like they were so focused on making it this Amazon ecosystem thing.
Right.
With Firefly being like the prime example.
Like they were trying to make it the ultimate shopping companion.
Yeah, exactly.
But think about it. When
Yeah.
you're buying a new phone, is that really your top priority?
Probably not.
Right. You're probably thinking about things like a good camera, apps that you actually use, a
Yeah, so-
smooth experience overall.
Exactly.
Amazon kind of fell into that trap of thinking that their strength in e-commerce
Right.
would automatically translate to making a killer smartphone.
Right. It's like they built a phone for people who already love Amazon, not for just like the average person who wants a good phone.
Exactly. And then there's the 3D thing.
Dynamic perspective.
Yeah, dynamic perspective. I mean, it was cool from a tech
It
standpoint,
was pretty impressive, yeah.
but did it actually make your life better?
Did it make your phone easier to use?
Right. Like, did you ever think, I wish I could scroll through my emails in 3D?
Exactly. It felt kind of gimmicky
It did. It was like they were trying to find a problem for their solution.
instead of actually solving a problem.
Exactly. And then there's the price tag.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one.
$649 unlocked.
That's a lot of money.
Especially back then.
Yeah, you could get an iPhone or a Samsung Galaxy for that much.
And those were already established brands.
Right, people already knew and trusted them.
Exactly. And Amazon's whole brand was built on value.
Yeah.
Like low prices,
Right, affordability.
Exactly. So asking people to suddenly pay top dollar for their unproven phone,
It was a big ask.
it was a huge ask, especially when they were going up against those giants.
Yet they just didn't have the same kind of brand cachet as Apple or Samsung.
Nope, not on the smartphone world.
Right, they were asking their customers to like jump into the luxury lane
Yeah.
with a brand they didn't really associate with luxury.
Exactly. And then on top of all that, they made this deal with AT&T.
The exclusive carrier partnership,
Yeah, they thought they could pull an Apple.
like with the first iPhone.
Right, but Apple had something revolutionary.
Yeah, and tons of hype.
And Amazon just didn't have that same level of excitement.
No, so if you weren't with AT&T, you couldn't even get the Fire Phone
Exactly. They basically shut out a huge chunk of potential buyers.
right out of the gate,
And that really hurt their chances of getting any word-of-mouth buzz.
which is so important for a new product.
It is, especially in a crowded market like smartphones.
And then there's the marketing.
Or lack thereof.
Right, it seems like they were really relying on their existing customer base.
Yeah, they figured their loyal Amazon shoppers would just flock to it.
But they didn't really do much to reach anyone else.
Nope, they didn't create any excitement or buzz outside of their own little bubble.
So you got a product with features that people didn't really need.
At a price that didn't make sense for Amazon's brand.
Sold only through one carrier.
And with zero marketing hype.
No wonder it flopped.
It's a recipe for disaster.
But the interesting thing is that the article says that Amazon actually learned from this.
They did. They took it on the chin, and they came back stronger.
They pivoted,
They shifted their focus to smart home devices.
like the Echo.
And those have been hugely successful.
Massively, they really nailed it with those.
They started listening to customers.
They did. They figured out what people actually wanted.
And they made their products compatible with other platforms.
Instead of trying to force everyone into the Amazon ecosystem.
It was a smart move.
They realized they couldn't win by going it alone.
So in a way, the Fire Phone was like a necessary failure.
Yeah, it was a learning experience.
It taught them some valuable lessons.
About understanding customers, setting the right price, making their products widely available.
And marketing effectively.
To really drive home how badly the Fire Phone did,
Okay.
the article says they sold less than 35,000 units in the first month.
Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
compared to millions for their competitors.
That's a huge gap.
It just shows you how important all those things are.
It does. You can't just throw a cool product out there and expect it to sell itself.
You need to understand your audience.
You need to offer something unique.
You need to price it right.
You need to make it easy to buy.
And you need to tell people about it.
In a way that resonates with them.
So the Fire Phone's story is a cautionary tale.
It is, but it's also a story of redemption.
Amazon took their lumps.
Learned from their mistakes.
And came back stronger.
And that's a valuable lesson for anyone.
In any field.
It is. You're going to stumble sometimes.
But it's what you do after you fall that matters.
Exactly. Get back up, dust yourself off, and try again.
And who knows, maybe if the Fire Phone had been a hit,
Oh, man.
the smartphone world would look totally different today.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it?
It is. All right. Well, that's our deep dive on the Amazon Fire Phone.
Fascinating stuff.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time.
Take care.
Bye.